Hi, my name's Hillary and welcome to my channel, Plant Life Midlife. Today, I'm going to do something that I've been wanting to do, but was too disorganized to get together. So I decided if I did it on a video, then it might be a little more successful. What I want to do is take some cuttings of this gorgeous Adansonii, which you can see. It is very long. Maybe 5 feet, tons and tons of length here. But what I want to do is I'm going to take 5 cuttings and I'm going to try to determine which medium is the fastest for producing roots. And I'm not sure exactly how perfectly scientific this is, but I'm going to do my best. I have moss. I have leca. Ooh, there goes the ball. I have leca, I have perlite, I have fluval stratum, and last but not least, plain water. The only thing I'm going to do with each cutting is I'm going to dip it in a little bit of rooting hormone, which you can see right here. I actually don't think it's all that necessary for this plant, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to do it with all of them so that nobody has an advantage. So let's start by getting some cuttings. And let me put my tea down here because my tea is going to spill. Okay. Let's see. I want to try to find, obviously I'm going to cut off the end because it's just so long. Okay. So let's find an end here. I'm gonna do, let's see, 2 nodes each. So is that a node? It's hard to tell. It's like broken. Yes, 1, 2, okay? So each node is kind of where there's almost a joint in the vine. And then oftentimes there's leaves growing. Let me get a better one that has more visible leaves. So it has leaves growing right out of the node usually. And you can see here's a teeny bit of an aerial root started. I'm not sure if that's visible. Put my hand behind it, maybe it's more visible. And so what I'm going to do is for each cutting, I'm going to cut from the end of the vine, go 1, 2, and then snip. Now, one of the things I never understood when I was new to plants, people would say, snip it above the node. And I was always like, well, wait a minute, above the node like this, or above the node like this? And maybe that's just my dyslexia coming into play, but I was like, what do they mean? Do they mean further away from the pot or closer to the pot? So I'm going to explain it for anybody out there who's had the same question. Basically, you're cutting below the node, and by below, I mean closer to the actual plant itself. Does that make sense? So if you have these beautiful vines here, okay? Oh my gosh, they really are a tangled mess. Let's see. Okay, well, anyway, let's pretend I have these 2, okay? And this is the end, and it gets closer to the plant. So we want to cut closer to the plant itself and not away. I'm in the healthcare industry, so I want to say distal is not correct. You don't want to cut distal to the node. You want to cut, I'm getting off track here. Okay, so I'm going to cut 2 nodes for each propagation experiment. So 2 for here and so on. So let me get my first one and we'll put him in some soil. Oh, sorry, one of the jars. Gosh, you know, it's like, this is really hard to find the end because they're just a tangled mess. Maybe I should have disentangled them before I... Okay, so here's our first, okay? 1, 2. 1, 2. And what I like to do is, this is kind of a sad looking leaf, but it's okay. We're gonna trim off that leaf on the bottom node because I would like to have this part submerged. And if there's a leaf on it, the leaf will get soggy and die. And then I take my little cup of water, I dip the end in it just to make it a little moist so that the powder, which is the take root powder, sticks. Voila. And then I'm gonna stick it, I'll start this one in the water. So this is my water baby, okay? And then we'll do another cutting. and we'll put it in a different medium. Okay, so again, we have, that was the bottom, okay? So that's where I cut it. So I'm gonna cut off the leaf. And so I have one bumpy node and then one node up here, which is where the leaves are gonna come out of, okay? So again, I'm gonna dip it, just the tip in water, dip it in the rooting hormone so that I have a little bit of rooting hormone on it. I'm gonna put this one in my fluval stratum prop, okay? Now I haven't added water to any of these, so I'll do that at the end. I'm gonna do the cuttings first and then we'll add water. So let me grab another one. Pardon me if I'm not showing you this part. These are just so long and I'm trying to even find the end. It's like they fed back up into each other. Oh, here we go. Okay. Bunk. All right. So again, 2 nodes, 1, 2. Cut off the leaf. Dip it in water. The reason I'm dipping it in water so the rooting powder, the rooting hormone sticks. That's the only reason. Okay, so this one is going to go in my perlite jar. Okay, and about halfway. I just want to get the node itself covered. Okay, we're going to do another one. Okay, so that was where I cut it. So I'm going to cut the leaf off. I have this little leaf here. Dip it in the water. Dip it in the rooting hormone. And I'm going to put this one in leca. Leca's a little hard to shove your guy into, so I take some balls out and put them back in. I may need to get some sort of clip to hold her in place. Oh no, she's good. Okay, so that's going to be my leca. And then last but not least, final cutting. This one's going to go in moss. I really actually haven't had, well, I'm not going to say anything because I want to do a little game with you guys. All right, so she's going in here. Okay, so we've got moss, we've got leca, we've got perlite, don't fall out. We have fluval stratum, and I'll link to all these different media in my description. But what I'm gonna do, oh sorry, and the last one is just plain water. Remember, all of these have the rooting hormone to help them along the way. Okay, so let me get rid of these extra leaves. It's kind of a mess. Okay, so let me get my water. And I'm gonna, obviously water doesn't need water, has enough water. We're gonna add little water to this. I just want the fluval stratum to be damp. I don't have a reservoir in here. Normally I'll put a little leca reservoir, but I didn't want to mix my medium because I wanted to have each one in its own jar just to see how they did. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, and I'm not gonna let it get dried out. I'm not gonna let any of these get dried out. Okay, perlite, a little bit of leca, a little water in the leca, and finally we have moss. And get that nice and damp. Okay, perfect. So, oh, I just got a leaf in my tea. Okay, well, hopefully that didn't have any pesticides on it. Okay, I got this new tea from Stash Tea. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. And it's so good. This one is the double chai tea, and all their teas are really good. Okay, so we've created each little jar. What I want to do is this. Today is, what's the date? Today is the Friday, the something. I can't see. Whatever the day is today. So in 1 month, I want to come back and do another video. So subscribe and like this video. And when I've made the follow-up video in 4 weeks, I will make sure that I put a little card at the end of this video so you can go right to it. You can also just subscribe and hit notifications, and when my new videos come up, you'll know. because this is going to be really interesting. I mean, I have my theory as to what's going to be, what order they're going to be, but here's what I'm thinking. If you guys want to play a game, I'd be curious if you would put the order from most roots to least roots that you think the results are going to be. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to go in the order I presented them. Water you think is going to be the fastest, and then put fluviostratum, then perlite, then leca, then moss. I don't know if that's your order, but I'm going to be curious to see who guessed correctly in terms of how fast these root. I mean, let's hope they root. It would be really embarrassing if I came back in a month and like there were no roots. That would be something that would happen to me. Okay, so that's all for today. I really wanted to do this experiment. I figured if I did it on the video, I would actually do it, and I would also follow up and not leave these in some sad corner of my house. Oh, and by the way, in terms of light, I'm gonna put these all in morning light by my window, right next to each other, not on a heat mat. Sometimes I use a heat mat, but the problem is when I do, the water evaporates really quickly, and that's never a good idea with me. Okay, so that's it, and I hope you all have a great evening, and I will see you guys soon in a month for the results, but probably sooner with a new video. Have a great day.